There's a part of awakening no one talks about, and it's the part that breaks you before it remakes you. You thought awakening would bring peace, but all you found was silence. And maybe that silence is exactly where your soul needed to go. At some point on your spiritual journey, maybe after an internal collapse, a dark night of the soul, or a moment of transcendent clarity, something inside you changed. You saw through the illusion, the repetitive patterns, the noise, and you found silence. At first, that silence felt like power. It was liberating, but slowly it turned into absence, not suddenly, but subtly, like life turned the volume down and never turned it back up. You stopped chasing, stopped trying, not out of laziness, but with that quiet sigh of someone who has seen too much. And then, the question began to whisper louder inside you. Why does everything feel meaningless now that I've awakened? You expected awakening to ignite you, to energize you, but instead, it emptied you. And you're not alone. Many, especially the introspective, the sensitive, the sincere seekers, experience the same paradox. The more you see the truth, the less you want to keep playing the old game. Carl Jung, the father of analytical psychology, sensed this long ago. He didn't use words like vibration or spiritual ego, but he deeply understood what happens when the unconscious is brought into the light of consciousness. Enlightenment doesn't come by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Beautiful, yes, but brutally true, because making the darkness conscious is the beginning of a death process, the death of the old identity. Everything that once gave your life meaning, goals, titles, bonds, plans, collapses. But that doesn't mean the ego is gone. It's just lost its map. And without a map, there's no direction. And without direction, there's no movement. You're not lost. You're between worlds. You left something, but haven't yet arrived somewhere new. And here's the core truth. What you're experiencing is not failure. It's not illness. It's not laziness. It's a sacred pause. Jung believed that the modern world does everything it can to avoid this void, this transitional space, this pause. But to him, this phase was essential for what he called individuation, the birth of the true self. But no one warned you about this part, did they? Your old motivation system was fueled by ego, the need to prove, to win, to please, to belong. That was the fuel of the persona, the mask we wear to function in the world. But awakening tears off that mask, and without it, old desires lose their meaning. They were custom-made for a you that no longer exists. It's like an actor who steps off stage and forgets their lines. The character no longer knows who they are. Off script. You didn't lose motivation. You outgrew the old fuel. Now, your soul demands a different kind of energy, one that doesn't come from external validation, but from internal integration. Jung said the goal isn't to eliminate the ego, but to align it with the self, the deepest, most truthful, and connected part of you. The self doesn't want performance. It wants truth. And that's why, after awakening, your psyche starts to reject everything superficial, forced, automatic. That includes people, careers, ambitions, even your old 2021 vision board. This is where many give up. They fall into spiritual bypassing, saying nothing matters. Everything is illusion. But that's not transcendence. That is denial. The self doesn't want to escape. It wants to embody. to bring the soul into the body, not to reject the world, but to redefine your place in it. But some don't stay in the silence. They rebuild too quickly. They escape the void by crafting a new persona that wears spiritual clothes, a version of themselves that speaks of light and presence, but fears the dark just the same. The ego doesn't die easily. Sometimes it returns with a robe and calls itself the soul, but it still seeks control, it still avoids the shadow, and it still fears stillness. This is the most dangerous mask, the spiritual one, because it hides behind sacred words and delays the true rebirth. True awakening doesn't make you impressive. It makes you honest. And silence, real silence, takes time. We think awakening should feel like a fire, but sometimes it feels more like soil, dark, heavy, still. But underneath, something is growing. The cocoon is not rushed. The winter doesn't ask the seed to bloom early, but the mind. The mind is afraid of stillness. It thinks silence means death. But to the soul, it means gestation. This is the tension you're feeling, not failure, not regression, just the slow rhythm of something real forming within you. And that takes longer than the ego wants. Then, without warning, something shifts. You begin to notice the world again, not to conquer it, but to belong to it, differently. A breeze feels like guidance. A refusal feels like clarity. Silence no longer feels like absence. It feels like home. And you move, but not to prove anything. You move because something deep inside is finally ready. That's not motivation. That's alignment. It doesn't come from outside. It doesn't chase rewards. It listens. It resonates. It expresses. And from that space, you begin to live again. But this time, with soul. This is what it means to live with soul. To trust symbols, dreams, gut feelings. To walk with fewer certainties and more truth. It's not about reclaiming your old motivation. It's about discovering a new one, born from wholeness. This is not the end of your awakening. It's the beginning of your true becoming. If this resonated with you, leave a comment. Say, I choose the fertile silence. And remember, awakening is not the final chapter. It's where the real story begins.